Hi friends, how are you guys today? Today I want to do a technique for you guys, and I'm not sure, it's not going to take too long, but I want to show you a really cool technique that is a type of embossing, and it's going to be fun. I think you guys are going to like this one. So what I'm going to do is, you wet some watercolor paper, and you let it sit in a towel, and you wet it, or somewhere where it can stay moist. You wet both sides. You wet it down really good with a spray bottle and let that soak in there. And then we grab a stencil. So a favorite stencil, I got this from DecoArts, Americana. It's the Medallia. I love crayons in my work, so we can use this one as well. It's from Americana. And this one's called Brim and Crown. And so I love this one's my favorite one up here. So I'm thinking I'm going to use this one. The top hat would be really cute as well. So I have a quite large piece of watercolor paper that I'm prepared for you guys to show you this process. So what I'm using here is floor mats that mechanics use or people use to work on cars, and they don't get their work shoes dirty on the customer's cars. Vehicles, so that's what this is. It's a mat. So I don't really want to get my place too wet. I have my watercolor paper. I let it soak in a bit, and it's still damp. We'll see how this works. And what I'm going to do now is grab my stencil. So first of all, I'm going to grab my Medallia stencil. I'm going to put it right in the center here. So what I'm going to do is throw back here. I'm going to I think that's where I wanted it, right in the center here. So kind of figure out what you want. You can cut around it or whatever. There we go. And I actually want this piece. I'm going to flip it over I want the embossing to come out that way that I'm doing. And I'm going to put another piece of plastic over top. And you can get these at like auto repair shops, I guess. When I'm thinking like places like a Princess Auto or something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pushing with my spoon or a hard object. Bone folder would work well too. Let's try that. The end of a bone folder, actually a little smoother. Your fingers, and this paper hopefully is not too hard, but it'll be I'm going to try with my deli paper, wax paper, a little smoother maybe. Yeah. So I had this on hand just in case I didn't like the resistance of the rubber or plastic piece. So I'm just using a teaspoon here on this one. If you have something large, it's kind of grounded. I'm hopefully wet my paper really well enough that it will work good. And it's going to be a really neat and interesting texture for a canvas project. Or, you know, a journal page. Flipping it over is less noise here, so it's and it might need more water, and might need to work it for a bit. Using the bone folder, it's got smaller detail. If you do a larger details, you get a little better results. It's not going to be a perfect impression, But it's going to be a really interesting piece. So when you do it, turn it over, you're going to have a really interesting page to work on. And that's why I flipped it over, because I wanted that side to work with when I do my page. So I'm just going to burnish it really well. It's a different kind of way to kind of do an impression for a neat background. And you might not get the whole thing, but it's going to really be interesting. And the nice thing is you could do the same stencil and have different effects each time. And you can see how it's kind of really getting in there. You see it now coming through maybe. Let's see if I can put it down further for you guys to see. It's quite white. I'm going to try to loosen up my camera there. Can you see any of that coming through some design? It's really hard to tell with the light. There we go. Can you see it a little bit more now? Probably. It's going to be dim for a bit, but you might be able to see it coming through a little bit better. You can push it with your fingers. If it's a larger piece, you can use a spoon. You can use the end of a paintbrush. Get really small areas, whatever. Something a little smoother than that one, but you get my point. So I'm going to move it back up. And sorry guys, I know it's crazy. My camera's kind of on the wonky side. It's a little bit to the side of where I'm working. And can you see how it's coming through a bit? A little bit of muscle, burnishing it. Getting it to come the way you want. It's really nice now. I'm doing a lot here, so I'm going to try to do more here. You guys might not. Oh yeah, you're up enough to see me. You're not going to be scratching up the paper or anything because you have this here. So it's the back side of your paper. It's all good. Try different things, see what you like the best. And even if it's not even, it's just going to be that much cooler. Okay, I'll be back. I'm going to do the crown on this side, I think, and I'll be back. Okay, so I use a large back of the paintbrush, too, for some smaller details. I think the smaller the piece is, you know, you can, if it's too small, it's going to be really hard to do it because the card, well, this is pretty heavy. I think it's 150-pound watercolor paper. It might work with a little bit of a less pound better. But we should give it a try with this one here. So this is what we got. And of course, I do have some color on there because I didn't get my stencil totally colored through. Even got some on my plastic, but isn't that pretty? So, and there we go. That is so pretty. I'm going to dry that up with the heat tool, and here is the crown. Isn't that pretty? I could be just added to a canvas. So, that's pretty. It's just enough to do something with. Just enough to work with and just add to. So I'm going to, so here we are. If we have a lighter piece of watercolor paper, it'd work a little bit better, I think. But I'm still going to cut. This is great. I'm going to cut this out, use it on a piece. This is going to be just one piece. So it's going to be great. And I'm going to let it air dry more. I dried it pretty good, but I'm going to let it air dry more. It's still just slightly damp to the touch. But just to show you guys this technique, I wanted to share with you. I will work on this project, so you'll see it in the next day or so. But I just want to come and show you this neat process that you can use this neat technique, and yeah, play with it. So if you don't have any embossing tools, you can just use a stencil and wet your paper and do that whole process. Like I said, make sure your stencil's clean if you want it perfectly clean. But this is the stencil I used for this one here once again. Oops, this is the one I used for this one. And this mandala one here from DecoArts is this one. So here we go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and give it a try with some of your stencils. Like I said, the more detailed, a little harder, but still work. Guys, I think it's great. And I'm just gonna make this can be like a really cool full metallic piece or whatever you want, guys. For I don't know, you could just imagination's endless. So you can do any kind of things. If you can, the paper can hold the water really good and doesn't damage the paper really. You know, you can do it with tags and that kind of thing. But there is lighter watercolor paper out there that you can turn into anything, tags or whatever too. So this is quite heavy watercolor paper. Okay guys, talk to you later. Don't forget to craft like a duck. Bye!